How would you feel if a Google search told you it was a good idea to eat one rock every day? How about if you'd asked for advice on depression and it suggested you jump off a bridge? Well, that's exactly what has happened to some bewildered Google users sharing some of the search giant's new AI summaries, which are, it turns out, making a whole heap of errors. So let's enjoy some of the most ridiculous that Google AI summaries have put out there so far. First up is the rocks. I mentioned this in the intro. It's telling a user to eat a rock a day, and it seems like, this story has come from an Onion story. For those of you that don't know, The Onion is a kind of sarcastic spoof satire news website. And it published this story about eating rocks in 2021. The fact that it's unable to tell the difference between sarcastic, joking content and real fact-based news is a recurring theme that we're seeing in lots of AI models, and one that clearly isn't going away. 2, rhyming is another issue that the large language model seems to have a problem with. The most ridiculous in this case seems to be trying to rhyme the word time with the word aol, and of course, methamphetamine. Anyway, on to the next one. This is another one which seems to be having trouble with using some property of the word itself, like the rhyming in the previous example. This is difficult for large language models because they're not actually thinking in words. What they're actually doing is trying to predict the next token. And a token is roughly only 4 characters. So all of that meta understanding of the word itself that we humans just naturally have does not exist for the AI. So in this case, rather than doing what a person would do, which is scan through all of the different foods that you know and then try to match them with the property of having an ME at the end, the LLM seems to have sourced this similarly titled troll post from Reddit in its quest to probabilistically find what comes next in line. Next is probably another troll post interfering with the results. This time, one that's encouraging you to add glue to your pizza sauce to stop the cheese falling off. Another one here demonstrating the problems that large language models have with numbers. They're not actually designed for maths, and they don't tend to do maths very well. In fact, integrating maths with large language models to produce models capable of doing real hard science is one of the big challenges facing AI companies, and one that probably will improve in years to come. And finally, the most famous and probably the most dangerous of all of these examples. Needless to say, the kind of person making a search like this is much more likely than average to be in the kind of fractious mental state that would make this kind of a response especially dangerous. So it will worry Google, as it should worry many of us. The idea that AI is going to be able to influence our thoughts and our behaviors in years to come is one that keeps lots of people up at night. And examples like this, though it seems quite silly and quite funny now, actually could end up having real world consequences. And while, of course, it's important that we continue to experiment, questions will be being asked of Google as to whether these AI summaries are really ready for contact with the real world, because like its previous image generation tool, it seems to be making a lot of mistakes. And so ultimately, it's Google's brand equity as a trusted provider of information that's going to be on the line. That's it from me. I'll see you next time.